We are an investment company called Launch. I think a lot of you know that, and we appreciate you coming out. Obviously, there's a lot going on in the world that's troubling, disturbing, terrible, and distracting. And so we recognize that. And we also recognize with these dual tragedies going on and dual challenges for society, that the overarching issue we're going to be dealing with in the next year is a lot of people have lost their livelihoods. We have tens of millions of people out of work here in the United States, which is just absolutely depressing and scary. Some number of them will come back quickly, and hopefully we don't have a huge second wave. But startups are how people get jobs. A lot of the big, huge companies that you know today, whether it's Apple and the Apple stores or Uber, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, they were all startups at some point, and they all created millions, tens of millions of jobs and helped people's pension funds. So while people have been losing their lives and then losing their livelihoods, we have been running the Accelerator. And these brave startups are out there building companies. And I think they deserve our support. And I think that it's important that we support them so that we have job creation. It's really as simple as that. People's lives are obviously the most important thing. And then people's livelihoods, most people would say their livelihoods are after the safety and lives of their families is the second most important thing for them. So with that spirit, we invited anybody to come watch our Accelerator demo day. We didn't used to do demo days. We used to do the program in person, and we just have 10 investors come every week. And so people in the program would get a $100,000 investment from us. They would get our support for, well, as long as their company was running and even for their next one. And we would introduce them to 150 investors. This is last year. Now we've moved virtual. The program has become 4 months online, 16 weeks or so. Each of these companies represents 50 to 100 people who applied to the program. And it's a pretty competitive program to get into because we only have 7 people per cohort. You'll see the companies do a 3-minute pitch today. The 3-minute pitch is and we used to have them meet 150 investors basically in person. That was enough for them to generally get funding. Now, since we moved virtual, we have about 15 people coming every week. We've increased the number of sessions, almost doubled it, certainly 50% more. And we're having the founders meet, would you say, Jackie, 200, 250, present to 200, 250 or so? Yes. And now we're doing the 2 demo days. Last demo day, we had 200 investors show up. This one we have 150. So then in total, they're meeting 400, pitching to 400 investors. And now we have the program. We just let some people in the This Week in Startup Slack and on Twitter come watch the presentations. Hopefully it inspires you to start a company and see what we do here as an investment company. And if you know anybody who has a company that has a product in market, say $10,000 a month, $5,000 a month, Fitbod had $1,500 a month when they joined us. Lead IQ had $800 a month when they joined us. So we want products in market, a little bit of revenue, a couple of customers we can talk to, but we're not looking for somebody who's already got their Series A, or why would they come to an accelerator? So that's our Goldilocks zone. Too early, you have an idea. Too late, you got 10 term sheets you're picking from for your Series A. Just right, 5, 10, 20 customers, $5, $10, $25,000 in revenue a month. That's what we're looking for. If you forward somebody to us, we will give you, if you introduce us to them, we'll give you 10% of our carry on the initial investment we make. We do that with a little carry assignment letter. It's just a little legal document. If you had done that in a company like Calm, Uber, Fitbod, Lead IQ, that would be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions to tens of millions, to $10 million probably. So think that through. We'd love to share the upside. Okay, Jackie, we have a running order here. We're going to switch to the first person. If anybody's wondering why our AV, I don't want to jinx it now, knock on wood, has been so good, we require everybody to have a new computer, proper lighting, and an Ethernet cable and a proper headset. I'm actually on a proper studio microphone here, even though I don't have the stick microphone. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jackie. Jackie is the managing director of the Accelerator. I'll be here the whole time, but I'm going to mute myself. Jackie, you have the helm.
Yeah. And okay, great. So just to let everyone know what the format is, we have 7 companies. They're going to pitch for exactly 3 minutes. We time them. Then we're going to go around to our investor judges here and take about 5 or 6 questions. And they'll have exactly 2 minutes to answer all of the questions. And then we keep going. And then we have voting at the end. Syndicate members who are joining us, welcome. Please put your questions in the Q&A box and we'll get to those as well. So our first company is Armando from Solo. Do you want to get queued up, Armando? And Jason, do you want to say a word about him?
Oh, sorry. I forgot that I was doing these great introductions. Okay. I don't know how you found out about us. You can tell us before you start how you were referred to the program or found out about us or applied. But we believe that trucking is obviously going to go through some changes. Doesn't make us geniuses to believe in that. But we also like people who create full stack experiences. And what I mean by that is they aren't just making software, they're operating in the real world. Some companies like Airbnb and Uber, they were brave enough to start things in the real world. Blockable and CafeX are 2 other examples from our portfolio. We like people who roll up their sleeves and do the hard work in the real world. Most investors don't like that. They want you to just do software. We think the people who are bold enough to maybe do a little bit of hardware or maybe have employees or get out there in the real world and roll up their sleeves and do some high touch atom-based stuff can build very meaningful, huge businesses. With that, I'll hand it over.
All right, Armando, get queued up, please.
Awesome, of course. And Jason, to answer that question, we went to a launch festival event in 2013 and stayed on the email list and found out that you're starting this, and here we are. But I will get this presentation queued up.
All right.
All right.
You have 3 minutes. Yeah, okay. We sure can. 3, 2,
awesome.
Go.
Hello, I'm Armando, CTO of Solo, and we're first to offer TaaS, or Trucking as a Service. This is Jerry, my co-founder's father and driver of 40 years. There are 2 million drivers like Jerry who dream of becoming their own boss to finally work with direct customers like Uber, Freight, Pepsi, and more. But before independently driving on public roads, drivers must meet all practical and legal driving requirements and start a trucking company costing $20,000 to $40,000 in 3 to 6 months. Most drivers don't have the time or money to meet requirements and start a company. So over 90% join traditional trucking companies who don't allow direct customer work and provide such a terrible service that they churn 98% of their drivers every year. But Jerry deserves better. So we built TaaS, the only option that allows him to practically and legally drive and work with direct customers in less than a week at no upfront costs. Jerry simply applies, completes onboarding, and TaaS sets up all his driving requirements based on his profile. This includes covering him under a federal trucking license, providing him RRP plates, insurances, state permits, trailers, fuel cards, truck hardware, and anything else he needs. Jerry will then install our truck hardware, giving us direct access to his truck data, including location, speed, and video. No one else gets this data, and it's critical to our future product development. TaaS fundamentally changes the core of trucking. It allows the 90% of drivers currently working for traditional trucking companies to finally become independent and work with direct customers. However, independent drivers can struggle to find work. So using proprietary sourcing, we built the industry's largest shipment marketplace, which can support over 100,000 drivers, which Jerry uses to book shipments from our customers, including Uber, Freight, Pepsi, FedEx, and more. We did 3.3 million in revenue last year and grew 260% and are currently at a 5 million revenue run rate. Our revenue is simple. Drivers make $175,000 in shipment revenue and they pay us 25% on that. They also pay us an additional $62,000 a year for TaaS. Our unit economics are great, but we're most proud of how drivers say we're improving their lives. Like John, our first driver that joined 2 years ago and has made slightly under $500,000 in shipment revenue. And Michael, an ambitious driver who's done over $200,000 in slightly over half a year. Currently, we get about 40 applications per month and accept 2 to 3. However, after securing working capital, we plan to increase that to 10 to 15. Our 6-year goal is to add 10,000 drivers, generating $2 billion in revenue by targeting the 500,000 drivers out there who own a truck, work for a bad trucking company, and are churning every single year. Travis, my co-founder, was actually a truck driver himself for over 3 years, and he's been working in trucking for over a decade. Our team is building TaaS to improve the future of trucking. However, we're first providing this life-changing service to drivers. Thank you.
All right. Well done, Armando. Okay, we'll
Thank
take
you.
some questions from investors. And also, Presh, if you want to put any in there from the live stream, we'll try to get to those as well. So
Yep.
we'll start with you. Ben Narrison from NEA, do you have a question for Armando? And investors,
Sure.
if you don't have a question, that's fine. You could just say, I don't have a question, or a question's been asked. Go ahead.
So how do you handle the demand side? If the drivers are supply and now you've gotten them on board and give them everything they need, how do you then access the inventory so that they can have the road work they want booked?
Okay, great. How about you, Charles Kim from Xtal Capital?
Hi, this is Charles. Yeah, my question is, given your initial foray with the driver, what are they least excited by, or what do they not like about the platform or the services that you're providing?
Thank you. Diane Anthony from Figure 8 Investments. Do you have a question for Armando?
Yes, with the increasing automation of the trucking industry, why is now the moment for Solo?
Great. Ethan Petrowski from Venrock. Do you have a question for Armando?
I do. What's the economic incentive for the shipper to move to your marketplace?
Okay, great. We have one from Murph on the syndicate. What is the terrible service that you speak of for drivers? And also, are they 1099 or W-2? Will you have the same issues as Uber? So how about we take those, Armando?
All right.
Ready?
Perfect.
2 minutes to answer all those questions. 3 to go.
Okay. Awesome. Ben, I'll start off with your question. So on obviously we have the supply side figured out, and frankly, we also have the demand side figured out. And again, this kind of goes back to how we decided to go about building our marketplace. So we built it in a very strategic way, and it allowed us to build the largest shipment marketplace we've ever seen in the industry. It can support up to 100,000 drivers. So for all intents and purposes, we're done with that side. And I can get to more details if we get off this call. Charles, in terms of cons to drivers, or what's their least favorite part, frankly, it's tough to find a lot of them. So this is kind of why drivers get into this space. They want to become independent. They want to have freedom to drive where they want to go, and they want to have the freedom to get back home whenever their kid's having a ball game. And so we're the first company to ever provide that to these drivers, a fast track to that. I guess maybe one stepping stone that these drivers do have to kind of go through is figuring out how to become independent from a work standpoint. So how to source work even through our marketplace, figure out what work is actually beneficial to them. And so that can be a little bit of a stepping stone, but we help them all through that process. Diana, you had asked about automation in trucking. Obviously, we know that one day, truck drivers won't necessarily really be a thing. That's way out in the future, we think. And frankly, what we're doing is we're automating all the back office stuff, right? So we're letting folks handle the automation of LiDAR and vehicles moving at 65 miles per hour. We'll let other folks deal with that. What we want to do is automate everything that happens in the back office of a trucking company, because at the end of the day, moving something from point A to point B in a truck, the total cost allocation to driving is about 25%. 45% goes to a trucking company. And so we want to make sure that we can automate that portion away. And I think we're running out of time, but I'd love to follow up on your guys' questions. Thank you so much.
All right. Well done, Armando.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up is Erin from Nude Barre. Erin will get queued up and Jason will talk.
Yeah. So we had the most successful fundraising to ever happen in the history of our 100+ accelerator companies was Ruby Love. They raised $10 million coming out of the accelerator. They hit $10 million in revenue. They've been public about this. And I believe they referred us to Erin. And then Erin, well, I don't want to spoil it, but we happen to be long-suffering Nick fans, and I'll leave it at that. And we love D2C. We love direct-to-consumer products when there is something very unique about them and they're executed at a high level. There's probably too many D2C companies producing schlocky stuff, and then there's an elite group of them who make really elite products. And we've seen success with 8 Sleep as an example, or Ruby Love, and a number of D2C companies, Scentbox, another one. So we love the space if they're executing at a very high level, is my investment thesis. They cannot win if the product is not absolutely addicting and exceptional, because it's just too many products available for a quick click in other places. So it's got to be differentiated, executed at a high level, passionate founder, all that good stuff. So I'll hand it over. I'll hand it back to Jackie.
All right, Erin.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, all set. 3, 2, go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Carpenter. I am the founder of Nude Barre, where we make skin-toned intimates and hosiery to represent the diverse world that we live in. Nude Barre comes in 12 shades of nude, durable enough for the active woman, but stylish enough for everyday life and fashion. And I personally started Nude Barre based on my experiences as a professional dancer and actress. This is me performing at Madison Square Garden as a Nick City dancer. And one of the requirements for our job was to have nude or skin-tone tights, panties, bras, and sometimes shoes that actually matched our skin. But when you go to stores and you ask for nude options, they only have beige, and I'm not beige. So I would have to dye my tights and underwear to match my skin on a weekly basis to be in uniform. And I was always complaining about this to other women from industries like bankers and lawyers and doctors and so forth about the same problem. And they were frustrated as well, because if they wanted to wear a white blouse, you can't just wear any color bra underneath because it'll show through your clothing. You really need the proper nude. So Nude Barre is the solution. We go from fair, medium, and deeper or darker skin tones. And we also go from children's sizes to adult plus size. So we're all about personalization, loving the skin you're in, and just empowering women and girls. We make it really easy to shop our shades online by using our color matching technology, the Nude Meter, where you answer a few quiz questions like, are you tan today? What are the color of the veins inside of your skin? You upload a selfie, and then you get your shade results based on seasonality. So winter season versus summer season, where you might be more tan. We currently make fishnets, opaque tights, seamless thongs. We have a bralette that we're launching soon, and we plan to expand into other verticals like shapewear and other bra panty styles. We're currently at 6K in monthly revenue. And we're mainly a direct-to-consumer brand, but we also sell to retail stores like fashion and lingerie stores. We have a repeat customer rate of 34%. And our unit economics are $3.50 to $5 to make our products landed. And then we retail our best seller at $33 per pair. So we have margins of 80 to 90%. We have about 6,000 customers to date, average cart size around $55. And over the past 30 days or so, our CAC has been about $24 using paid. But mainly I've built Nude Barre through word of mouth and organic traffic and celebrity endorsements. Wendy Williams was our first celebrity customer. And what's amazing is she posts what she's wearing on her show daily, tagging all of the brands from head to toe, also posting on her website, linking all of the brands as well. From there, Tyra Banks became a customer, Laverne Cox. Serena Williams actually found us organically on Instagram, and then she became an investor in late 2019. And we've also tested lower level influencers as well. And we're seeing some nice traction there. We are focused on our go-to-market strategy being paid ads, press, celebrity endorsements, continuing with influencers, as well as strategic partnerships. We're focused on the $250 billion lingerie and intimates market globally. And here's our roadmap to $100 million in ARR, which is triggered by pricing, product extension, as well as gaining new customers year over year. This is our team. And again, I'm Erin Carpenter, founder of Nude Barre, where we make skin-toned intimates and hosiery to represent the diverse world that we live in. Thank you.
All right,
All right,
Erin,
well
great
done.
job. All right, investors, Kristen Faulkner from Threshold VC. Do you have a question for Erin? You may be on mute, Kristen. We'll skip over if you're a second. Miranda Manning from Firebrand. Do you have a question for Erin?
Hi, yes, I do. My question's around supply chain and getting the products in. Is there any concerns that you have there and, shipping orders, getting them in on time?
Great.
In reference to manufacturing or just to the consumer directly?
Manufacturing more.
Okay.
I kind of trailed off there.
Okay. Stan Fung from Farsight Ventures. Do you have a question for Erin?
Yes, I do actually. How do you protect the brand and also the product from being copied quickly by overseas producers?
Okay. Robert Ravashanas from Maven. Do you have a question for Erin?
Stan had my question, so you can pass over me.
Okay. Vidika from Weekend Fund. Do you have a question for Erin?
Yep. I'm glad you're working on this, Erin. So this doesn't seem like a new need. So I'm really curious about why you think this hasn't already existed. And if anyone's tried it, why have they failed?
Okay. From the syndicate, Murph is asking, what is your percentage of organic search? And we have a question from the live stream. How does your customer retention compare with other brands within the industry?
Okay.
You want to take those?
Yes.
Okay, 2 minutes, 3 to go.
All right, so Miranda, as far as supply chain and shipping on time, so far we've been really fortunate to not have any extreme issues with that. We don't do any pre-orders or anything like that. Like we sell what we have on hand directly to the customers. And then when we're working with our retailers, we make sure we're just really communicative and transparent about where we are in the process, you know, if it's on the boat and it's 30 days out and if it's in customs and so forth. So we just communicate as well as we can in terms of that. We do manufacture in various countries, so average production is between 30 and 60 days, which is still a pretty quick turnaround, and that's also scalable for us. And then Stan, in terms of defensibility, I look at this in a few ways, and one is somewhat related to the times we're in now, but one would be the brand ethos and the brand story. Our customers really buy into the fact that I'm a Black woman doing this and focusing on women of color. It really resonates with them. A lot of our customers hear my story and say, oh my God, that was me too. I was dyeing my tights, or I would just opt out for Black tights because there wasn't a color on the market for me. And they're, pretty frustrated by this. And especially over this past week, a lot of brands have been tagging us as a Black-owned business to support, and people are just really excited that we're actually focusing on inclusion and changing the way that people are thinking of nude and the fashion and beauty industry. So this is really important to them. So that would be the biggest defensibility side of it. And then the second part of that would be the technology aspect. So our color matching technology is really unique to the undergarments industry or even the apparel industry in itself, and the fact that you can color match just like if a woman were buying makeup foundation. It's really difficult to do online. So our technology enables our customers to do that. And this is what's really going to help us scale up. And then Vitika, you were asking about why hasn't anyone done this? My honest answer is really around institutional racism and people just not really caring about the consumer of color. And so because I am a consumer of color, it is important to me to change that narrative. And that's originally why I started the brand. All right, that's my time. Feel free to email me if you have any other questions, and I'll answer some more in the Q&A.
All right, great job, Erin. Okay, next
Awesome
up is
job, Erin.
Sam from Honeyfi.
Thanks. We've had great success in financial services and in people subscribing to apps. Financial services, Robinhood, and Wealthfront are two of our great investments of all time, actually, top 10. And then in terms of subscriptions, Calm is our number 2 investment of all time, consumer subscription, right? Steezy, Fitbod, all great consumer subscription apps. Tone-based, Fluent Forever, a bunch of different subscription apps we've been working on. And this combines both of those things. And so we think that this is the era of consumer subscriptions. And this is the time when consumers are really, especially this next generation, learning and loving doing any kind of finance on their phones.
Yes. All right, Sam.
Great. Thanks, Jason.
All right, we can see you. 3, 2, go.
Just setting the timer. Hey, everyone. My name is Sam Schultz, co-founder of Honeyfi. We're solving couples' finances. Let me introduce you to Tim and Jess. They're 2 of our customers. They recently got married and they're both in their 30s. They keep their finances separate. Tim and Jess are the new normal. Today, 2/3 of millennial couples keep their finances separate because they get married later than ever. They also have a lot of financial accounts between them, 12 in total. Tim primarily banks at Bank of America, Jess at Wells Fargo, and then they have a lot of accounts on top of that. So things get complicated quickly. Added to the mix is $100,000 of student debt. This is making for tense conversations about how Tim and Jess can buy a home and have a baby together, 2 things they really want to do. We built Honeyfi to solve this problem, to help couples like Tim and Jess stress less and save more. They just link their accounts to Honeyfi, and then within the app, we make it super simple for them to control how much they're sharing with each other. They both decide to share all of their accounts except for one each that they use for small amounts of personal spending, like happy hours and eating out with friends. Then within the app, it's really easy for them to see all of their finances, household and private, in one place. Each month, we give them reminders to check in about their money. This helps them have more productive conversations and fight less about their finances. They're also saving for their goals with Honeyfi. So each month when they get paid, We automatically transferred 10% of their income into an FDIC-insured bank account with our bank partner for the home savings goal they created. They love watching their progress within the app, so much so that they decide to create a spending challenge. See, Tim and Jess love Blue Bottle and Phil's, but they know they spend way too much on it. So they challenge each other to spend less on coffee this month. They win the challenge, and that money automatically gets transferred to that home savings goal. Tim and Jess are a real couple. We've changed some facts about them to protect their privacy, but here's a real quote. They're having less tense conversations. They're fighting less about money. They're actively building towards their future together. Today, we primarily make money through subscriptions, so $60 a year or $10 a month. But these couples are in their prime earning years and going through the biggest financial decisions of their lives, so we think there's a massive opportunity here. We have a 30-day free trial, and we see great conversion. 35% convert from free to paid. We also have $6,000 in MRR and growing quickly. And our average saving balance in those goals is $1,100 after just 4 months. That's because they're saving for the biggest financial events of their lives together. Our engagement is super strong, 92% monthly active, 53% weekly. That's way higher than other financial apps because by bringing your partner into the experience, we give you the financial equivalent of a workout buddy. Same goes for attention, 70% 3-month subscriber attention, way higher than other financial apps because we make the app stickier with your partner in it. Our team is phenomenal. My 2 co-founders, Joe and Rami, were early at Move-In. That's a neobank in New York. They helped them grow to over 1 million users globally. We are the team that's going to solve this problem. Thank you. My name is Sam Schultz, co-founder of Honeyfi. We're solving couples' finances.
All right, well done, Sam. Okay, investors. Back around the horn, Ben Narrison from NEA. Do you have a question for Sam?
Sure. You're addressing a very specific and compelling need, which is also somewhat delicate to address. So a little bit of time spent on how you acquire this consumer would be useful. How do you market to them? How do you message them? How do you get them comfortable? How do you get their trust?
Okay, great. Charles Kim from Xtol. Do you have a question for Sam?
Yeah, similar to on the customer acquisition, what is the cost of customer acquisition and what's your lifetime value of these customers?
Great. Diane Anthony, Figure 8, question for Sam.
Yes, specifically, how are you helping to address the student debt concern that you discussed?
Okay. Ethan from Venrock, question for Sam.
I'd love to get a better understanding of where this goes. Give us a picture of 18 months to 36 months. What does this become?
And Dale from the Syndicate is asking, what is it that the app does to eliminate the arguments around finances? Ready to take this, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 2 minutes, 3 to go.
Thanks for all the questions. So I heard a question around how do you acquire customers and gain their trust? That's taken time to figure out. I think one thing we do is primarily, solve their problems. So when customers see we're giving them the choices they want, like controlling how much they share, that helps. We also quickly demonstrate our value by helping them save money quickly. So on average, couples save or spend $700 less after just 1 month with us. So I think that's, the main way we get that trust early on is by solving their biggest pain points. Our CAC, we pay $10 per paying subscriber to affiliate partners. We've primarily grown organically so far, though, so we're still fleshing out what our ultimate CAC will be. Our lifetime value, we think, can be upwards of $300 because these couples stick with us for a while once they find us. We're seeing that really high retention because we're bringing your partner into the experience. And the way we think about it is that we're really solving the motivation problem, not just the information problem of finances. So that's why we see such a sticky app, such high engagement. I also heard a question from Diana about how you help couples with student debt and pay it down. We help couples with all kinds of debt, including student debt and credit card debt. So from talking to users, I'm hearing stories all the time of how we help them pay down debt. I think one of the first ways we help them is by helping them and their each partner talk about it together and make a plan, because few things get better when you ignore them. So we help them see what their debt is, and we also help them automate some of those payments. Where does this go, Ethan, you asked? So 10 seconds to answer that, but at a high level, how that works is we started by building a tool to give them the fundamentals of their finances. Then we move into helping guide them through some of these big life events because we think that's where the massive opportunity is. Happy to talk more after. Thanks for all the questions, guys.
All right, great job. Next up, we have Michael from EyeRate.
Okay, so this is we love companies that are involved in local, and local is really hard, local businesses. Obviously, COVID is also a challenge. But we know that small and local businesses are getting more and more sophisticated. And we think that although they're getting bombarded with tons of tools, there's a new generation of people working at these regional local businesses and chains that are digital first, even though they're retail establishments, but they think digitally and they are really sophisticated in how they use online to get people to offline experiences. And when we saw this one, we thought, oh my God, it's so simple and so brilliant. We want to be involved in this company. And we really do. Is one of the big things that one of the big questions we ask ourselves are, just how enthusiastic are we about this business existing in the world as a general test? Like, do we really want to be involved in these businesses? Are we excited that they exist in the world? And if you look at the first couple that you've seen already today, they're all really exciting to be involved with. And as an investor, I think you have to pick things to invest in where you love the founder and you love the product and you love the space so that you really are enthused about helping that founder grow the business. So we're just really excited about this one.
All right.
Awesome.
Michael, you're ready to go.
Yep. Thank you for that. And also shout out to Sonny if he's out there. He was one of our referrals and he was part of cohort, I think, number 9. So it's been a pleasure working with him.
And we
team.
Gave him 10% of the upside. I think he's referred 4 or 5 companies to the program. So he's got a lot of upside in the companies.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Awesome. My name is Michael Arredondo, co-founder of EyeRate, and we're reinventing engagement through reviews. I'd like to introduce you to Margie. Margie is the franchise owner of the Massage Envy in Sacramento. Her problem is that consumers today, 53% won't visit her business because she has less than 4 stars online, and her disengaged employees are costing her a ton of money. Now meet Jane. Jane has been a dedicated member of the Massage Envy for years, and she's part of the silent majority that have never left an online review. So as she checks in for her appointment, her information hits the EyeRate system, and she immediately receives a text message asking her to rate her overall satisfaction with that specific employee who's providing the service. Any unhappy responses notify management so they could retain that customer. But for the happy responses, our technology allows the customer to post on the popular review in social media outlets without jumping through a whole bunch of extra hoops. We encourage the customer to mention the employee by name in their post. And when this happens, the employee is incentivized with cash. Now, this is highly addicting for all parties involved. The customer has the immediate feedback loop. The business owner is watching their leads and reviews increase significantly. And the employee, a typical low-wage earner, has the opportunity to be able to increase their income. Outside of the value to the individual business owner, the corporate executive teams love this enterprise solution because they now have visibility into each location that they're managing across the country, broken down by specific employee. They could see the employee's job satisfaction, customer service scores, and how well that employee is helping market the brand. The product works so well that the corporate executive teams at Amazing Lash Studio and Massage Heights reached out to us, and we're in negotiation for a master service agreement for over 500 locations. This is over $1 million in ARR that will close out this year. In just 10 months' time, we've added 115 new customers, doing $22K in MRR, and through COVID, been able to maintain a 28% growth rate. After we monopolize the health and beauty franchise industry, we'll leverage those results in reputable brands within the health and beauty businesses. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've proven that this product is beneficial for a ton of other markets. Because of COVID, we focused on the remote service industry where we found great traction, and we've been able to attract some of the leaders in the cannabis industry. We'll get it to $1 million this year with our current team, reach 10 million by building out our world-class sales team and integrations with the top scheduling and CRM systems. I've known my co-founder Ray for the last 20 years, worked together most recently at Sequoia-backed startup Nimble RX, where we helped scale and manage large sales teams. It's where we also met our advisor, Sean Johnson, who's put incredible products into some of the largest markets his whole career. Lastly, this is a message that Margie sent us after just a few weeks of partnering, got over 100 new Google reviews, taking her score up significantly and increased her revenue from the previous month. Thank you. My name is Michael Arredondo, co-founder of EyeRate, and we're reinventing engagement through reviews.
All right, Michael, great job. Okay, investors, Kristen Faulkner from Threshold, you back. Do you have a question for Michael?
Hi, yes. Have you ever had any adverse incentives from employees, maybe giving out, discounts to get a high rating or things like that that might adversely impact the business itself?
Okay. Miranda from Firebrand, question for Michael.
Yes, I'm curious about how you differentiate with some of the other products for rating and reviews that are currently out on the market today.
Thank you. Stan from Farsight, question for Michael.
Yes, I do. Can you give us some history about the people you have covered so far? And what's the conversion rate for them to click through and respond to your request for comments? And how is that changing over time also?
Okay, great. Robert from Maven, question for Michael.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how you chose the health and beauty space as your beachhead market for this business.
Thank you. Vidika from Weekend Fund, question for Michael.
Yeah, given that service businesses are often very hectic, who at the business is monitoring the reviews? And how do the reviews actually reach employees?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well. Can I hear one more time?
Me?
Yep.
Okay. Given that service businesses are often very hectic, like a beauty salon, everyone's on the go. Who's actually monitoring these reviews in real time, and how do the reviews reach the employees?
Okay, I mean, we'll get one more. Ben from NE, I do have a question for Michael.
Mainly around the, I think this was asked earlier, the idea that you could game the system here. How do you sort of prohibit or prevent or detect that, where folks could have anything from their friends coming in and giving them good reviews, or employees acting too aggressively to get that sort of final star?
All right, ready to tackle those, Michael?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 2 minutes, 3 to go.
Awesome. So first, thank you all for showing up today. Like Jason said, crazy world we're living in. Christian, I'll start with your question. So discounts to employees based off the ratings, that's something that, our customers do for their employees based off of the internal responses for providing a high level of service. They'll do discounts for their services at the hair salon or lash salon. I heard a question around differentiation from others in the market. We're the only company that's focused on reimbursing the employees for the results. And that kind of gets into Robert's question and Stan about the conversion rate and why we chose health and beauty as our beachhead market. In those industries, if you think about the person who does your hair, it's usually the same person over and over. I know I've followed my barber for multiple shops. There's a relationship that's there. So when you're asking them to rate that specific masseuse or hairstylist, a lot of the times they have long-lasting relationships. By leveraging that relationship, it gets more of those happy customers to go and leave a review for that person and endorsing them. So the conversion rate is significantly higher. So Stan, to answer your question, we focused on this industry because we usually see about a 30% conversion rate from customers onto these other websites. Becca asked a question about monitoring the reviews. It's usually the store manager or the business owner. And then Ben, detect people from cheating the system. That's the best part about this. Reviews right now are wild, wild west. I can write a review for anybody else in the country. Since we're capturing the customer's phone number and making sure that they're a legit customer through the point of sale system, it's a way for us to be able to make sure that that customer actually came through the door versus just a friend that's going online and endorsing the friend or business. Thank you all for your questions.
All right, thanks, Michael. Can you stop sharing your screen, please? There you go. Great job. Punt Club is up next. Jason from Punt Club.
Okay, I'm a degenerate gambler. I love gambling, and that's just my day job. Hey-o. But I also play poker, and wagering is coming to America. As many people know, the NBA has embraced it, NFL, NHL, everybody's embracing wagering. And you saw Vegas opened up today. And on a national level, we're going to see wagering be available to everybody. Additionally, We have a unique thesis about the founders out of this little upstart called Australia. The founders there want to build products and services that are used by everybody in the world. They have a spirit and a doggedness that speaks to me, and pound for pound, to put them up against any other region's entrepreneurs. In fact, I see a hunger in them that I don't see in America enough. And I'll just put that out there. So when we find a great founder in Australia, we try to get them into the program as quick as possible. So if you know anybody in Australia building something great, we want to meet them. jason@calicanis.com.
All right. With that, Jason.
Very kind. Thanks, guys. I'll share my screen and let me know when you can see it.
Got it. 3, 2, go.
Hi guys, I'm Jason from Punt Club, and we do sports betting clubs for friends. These informal betting clubs have been popular worldwide for a long time. Every football team or sports team I ever played for used a betting club to save money for our end-of-season trip. We would all chip in some money each week, take turns to bet that money with sports books, win some, lose some, and cash out at the end of the year to spend on travel like this trip. Awesome fun, but it was done with spreadsheets and betting accounts and bank accounts and chasing your friends for money, and it was a nightmare to run. So I built an app that would fix all that. It's pretty simple. You just start a club and give it a name. Let's call this one Vegas Baby. You choose how much you're going to chip in and how much of that you're going to bet. And then I invite my friends to join my club like I would on any other social application. As soon as my friends get my invitation, my college buddies, for example, they log into our app, and they can see on our dashboard at a glance how much we've bet, how much we've won, what our club balance is, how we're tracking towards our own club goal, and a private leaderboard ranks us for bragging rights. When it's my turn to bet, I'm logged into my sportsbook partner interface, and we can see any sport or horse race on earth. Except at the moment, there obviously is no sport with the COVID lockdown, so the horses are still running around. If I choose this long shot Atomic Lass at 26-1, as soon as I place that bet, all of the members of my club are notified, and they chime in on our live chat interface and tell me exactly what they think, whether the bet was a good idea or a bad idea. We typically sit down and watch the game or the race together. We ride the bet home because it's pooled money, shared money, and depending on whether that bet wins or loses, my mates are only too happy to tell me what they think about my betting prowess. And it's this banter that's the social glue that holds our group together, and it's great fun. I use this picture quite deliberately because the US just legalized online sports betting, and you're about to become the largest player in a $200 billion market. You also behave exactly the same way. This group of college buddies pulled some money on the Mad March tournament. They won 60 grand on the title game, and they flew to Vegas to blow it. Our customers behave the same way. Our business model is pretty simple. It's an affiliate model, and our 2,500 clubs generated 2.3 million in betting turnover last month at around 200,000 profit for our sportsbook partners, which generated 100,000 in cash commission for us. Our traction so far, 2.5 million real bets worth $60 million, and 85% of our customers are on recurring subscription, which makes us super sticky and super scalable, and we've banked 1.4 million in revenue. Sports betting, as Jason said, is going nuts in the US. DraftKings listed just over a month ago and is now worth a market cap of 25 billion. And since joining the launch Accelerator, we were tracking our weekly bet metrics, and we're growing 10% week on week right up until the world obviously went into shutdown and all world sport was cancelled. We panicked at this point. But off the back of the only thing that was going, the horses that were running around, our business grew and doubled in the next 6 weeks, which was super exciting. As well as making money on all these bets, we also have started doing big ticket items like corporate hospitality for our friends and groups, and even bucket list trips like this one to the Super Bowl, and also the occasional racehorse, but maybe not this one. Based on our existing data, we know that 200,000 groups will get us over 1 million users, 2.5 billion in betting turnover, and 100 million in revenue. If we double down on our sports travel and get our own betting license, we can get to 250 million a year. Our team has got decades of software design and development experience, and my board, some of which you might be watching today, reads like a who's who of the international wagering C-suite. It's simply the most fun you'll ever have investing. So buy the ticket, take the ride. I'm Jason from Punt Club. We do sports betting clubs for friends. Thanks for your time.
All right, great job, Jason. All right, investors, Charles Kim from Xtel, do you have a question for Jason?
All right, sorry, I have to mute button. Yeah, is there any legal risk with regard to these clubs? Is there, if you have, for example, unauthorized clubs, or there's some illegal money, or does transfer different types of money to using this platform?
Okay, Diana Anthony from Figure 8, any questions for Jason? Okay, she might be on mute. Go ahead.
Can you speak to how your social platform is integrated with existing social platforms?
Great, thank you. Ethan from Venrock, question for Jason?
How do you maintain differentiation and a moat from copycats popping up?
Okay, thank you. Kristen from Threshold, question for Jason?
Yeah, what have you seen be the kind of virality of people referring friends to come and join them for kind of the to join their team?
Great. Miranda from Firebrand, question for Jason.
Yeah, are you targeting any specific beachhead markets to go after in the outset? Yeah, that's it.
And Alexander from the Syndicate is asking, did I hear correctly that there's also affiliate partnerships to go along with the subscriptions? Okay, you ready to take those, Jason?
I think I've just about got them noted. 1 second. Okay, let's do it.
3 to go.
Okay, Charles, we'll start with yours, which is a legal and regulatory question, and specifically looking at the AML implications or anti-money laundering implications. All of our customers are given an ID verified account, so they have to go through the same verification process as anyone would if they were signing up for a sports book, which makes us both fully compliant with those regulatory environments and also gives us a larger universe of people that we can market to who will also start betting on their own even when it's not their team to bet for the group. Hopefully that answers your question. Diana, you asked about social integration. We've found that people are pretty hesitant to share their betting activity on social platforms. They probably will share a winning bet slip, but rarely want to disclose their own betting activity. But amongst their private group, they obviously share it through our platform pretty frequently. We've certainly got the ability for people to share a bet slip and share a winning bet and brag about it online, and there's lots of banter about it on Facebook groups and those sorts of things, but it's typically something that people keep to themselves. Ethan, I think you asked about competitors and copycats. So our two partners in Australia over time have been Tabcorp and Ladbrokes, which are two of the largest wagering companies on earth. People often say, what are you doing dealing with them? Don't they just copy your thing? It's complex. So we've got deep sector expertise. Some sportsbooks have tried to copy it and they've ended up having to shut their product down. It just didn't work and their customers kept coming back to us. So while we don't pretend for a second and rest on our laurels that we can't be copied, it is something that we're quite good at, and we look at large wagering organizations not as competitors but as potential partners, and certainly we look at it the same way with like a DraftKings or anyone in the US that is doing and playing in the space. Kristen, you asked about virality. So our model is basically based on virality. We find one customer and they invite 5 or 10 of their friends to join their group, and that peer-to-peer model keeps our acquisition costs super low. In Australia, we're paying around $20 to get a customer. In the US, the model over there is less about revenue share and more about CPA bonuses they pay or CAC bonuses. So the going rate is anywhere between $300 and $500 for one funded account. So those numbers stack up pretty well. Even if it costs us more in the US, $50 to get a customer, and we're earning $300 or $500, that's a good ratio.
Okay, great. You're out of time, Jason. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Miranda. Alexandra, I didn't get to yours. I'm sorry, but please feel free to hit me in the chat, and we'll chat after that.
So we were referred to Nicole by Mike Savino, I believe, one of our venture partners and one of our angel investing friends. And I started in IT. We all know people are going to be working from home. We made this investment before coronavirus because we know people are working from home. And in our portfolio, we have this very bizarre disparity. I'm sure some of the investors there have it as well out there. Some of your companies went to $0 in revenue while their costs stayed the same, and it was incredibly scary during coronavirus. Some of them were plus or minus 10, 20%, and it felt like, okay, good time to reassess the business and check everything, but we're in okay shape. And then we had this other group of small companies that just, the coronavirus and work from home became this incredible crises that would become wind in their sails. And this is one of those companies. So you never want to see a crisis be the reason you have incredible growth or incredible opportunities emerge, but you never want to waste a crisis, and chaos is a ladder and all those other expressions exist for a reason. The world can change on a dime, as we've seen twice in the last 100 days. And, it's the founder's job to adapt to that. Sometimes it goes your way. Sometimes it kills your company. So with that, 3, 2, go.
Thank you for that. So I'm Nicole Beals, the co-founder of Techmate, and we are on-demand tech support for remote and satellite employees. Even before COVID, 50% of employees were working in remote and satellite offices. Obviously, this number has skyrocketed, and every indication is telling us that this will be the new norm. The problem is that roughly 40% of IT issues can't be solved virtually. So traditional IT departments are simply ill-equipped to support this new work model. Take Lee, for example. He's the IT manager of a national law firm. They have 1,800 employees around the country. Before Techmate, Lee was actually contracting dozens of individual IT companies around the country in order to support all of his employees. As you can imagine, this is a logistical nightmare. But with Techmate, Lee can manage all of his IT environments from one central dashboard. This includes his office in Dallas, where their top partner, Mary Beth, just experienced a hard drive crash. Mary Beth logs in and she quickly requests help. She chooses the date and time that she wants a technician to show up at her home or office, and she's instantly matched with the most qualified technician based on time, location, and skill sets. These are technicians like Francis, who has 15 years of IT experience. Once he resolves Mary Beth's issue, he logs all the critical information in his app, and Lee can then manage all of this from his dashboard, and he can also organize valuable data that lets him make better business decisions. These are things like most common issues, IT expense by location, and much more. Lee pays a monthly subscription fee and can choose between 4, 10, or 16 hours a month. We pay our technicians $35 an hour, giving us up to 68% in gross profit margin. We've had a great first 2 years. We closed out 2019 with $250,000 in revenue, and we've billed over 5,500 worth of IT jobs. Since the COVID shutdown, we've actually seen our best weeks yet. So this is a huge market, and within that, we have focused in on what we call our sweet spot, which is enterprise-light companies. There are about 500,000 of these companies in the US, and they're spending roughly $15,000 a year on outsourced IT. Within this market, our goal is to increase to 200 memberships this year and 1,000 memberships by the end of next year. So how are we going to do this? Well, our team has a combined 40 years of experience in IT consulting and recruiting. Over that time, we've built a network of more than 7,000 highly vetted technicians. This has allowed us to scale from 2 to 19 cities in the last 6 months alone. So we're partnering with companies like WeWork, Electric, and Markham. Markham is one of the largest accounting firms in the US. We're also targeting a database of thousands of warm leads. This includes companies like Chase Bank, who just signed up 9 locations, and they're looking to go national with us this year. And finally, half the companies that find us online end up booking us in multiple locations. So all of this gives us enormous scalability. Again, I'm Nicole, the co-founder of Techmate, and we are on-demand tech support for remote and satellite employees. Thank you so much.
All right, well done. Okay, investors. Stan from Farsight, do you have a question for Nicole?
Yes, I do actually. So I don't know how you differentiate yourself in the sales situations. Do you have to come in with certain technical platform that is easy to install, or you have relationship that lets you walk in without competing bids? How do you get the contract the first time, given the size of the customers that you have?
Great. Robert from Maven, question for Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole, could you talk about your customer acquisition strategy and how you intend to reach millions of customers?
Great. Vidika, question for Nicole.
Yep. I related to the last 2 questions. How long are sales cycles for a product like this?
Sales cycles, okay. Ben Nanier, questions for Nicole.
You mentioned that you can dispatch somebody to the site, and you're in these different 19 cities. Can you talk a bit about the percentage of the work that you do that's actually achievable remotely versus sending somebody, and what the cost to sort of put somebody out in the market is? I know you're at $35 an hour, but what does it cost to pull up that handbrake in front of somebody's office and go in and do the work?
Okay. And Charles Extold, any questions for Nicole?
Yeah, my question is around pricing. Are you able to adjust pricing based on the work you do and the companies that you work with, whether you go up or down?
All right, thank you. Any other syndicate? All right, let's take those, Nicole.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. I'm just going to start my timer here. Thank you so much for all the great questions. So I'll start, Stan and Vidika, with your questions just about the contracts, how we actually get them, and what that sales cycle looks like. $15,000 a year for, our top membership, that is actually a very small price to pay for a size company like the enterprise-like companies that we are going after. They're about 100 to 5,000 employees. Our sweet spot is around 2,000 to 3,000 employees. So typically, that is a price point that doesn't even have to get sent up the flagpole for approval. IT manager of a company who we're typically targeting, they're able to approve that. So our sales cycle is really short. It's about 4 to 6 weeks. We have about a 10% conversion rate with our direct sales, and we're getting about 1 membership sign up per week per salesperson. Charles, in terms of adjusting pricing, we have, as I mentioned, we have decades of experience within the IT industry. And so we've thought long and hard, obviously, about pricing. Typical pricing is around $150 an hour within the industry. Because of our lean, mean business model, we are able to charge about half of that. So around $79 an hour for our top membership tier. We think that there's a lot of room to grow within that. We have about 56 to 68% gross profit margin right now. We think, we can do it. Right now we're in acquisition mode, obviously, but we can do incremental price increases within that. And we think that with that, and then also we'll be launching our SaaS platform that we've already launched it, but we'll be launching just a standalone SaaS, which we'll be charging for. So we think we can get our margins more up to about 70 to 75%. These are level 1, level 2 types of jobs. So we think, that price point per hour is really the way to go right now. Would love to answer more questions offline. Thank you so much again.
Good job. Okay, next up is Paragon One.
All right.
Jason?
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, so we have a thesis around education. Internally, we think education, construction, healthcare are some of the hardest spaces to crack. They have incumbents, they are regulated, the government's super involved in them. So we have made a number of bets in education. You may have seen Dexter or Brilliant.org, which is doing phenomenal. Dexter's a little bit earlier, but really strong. And we think that college is going to change. And we know that credentialing and having a degree from a great university is not a bad thing. But I was having a conversation with somebody who's one of the top 10 CEOs in technology. And I said, did you hear the story about the MIT student who put themselves through school? And they said, no. And I said, they basically did all the courses online. And would you take that person or somebody who had actually gone to MIT and spent the $250? Who would you rather hire? The person who did it on their own at home and has all the coursework, or just somebody who actually went through it? They said, well, obviously I'll take the person who hacked the system. They have more grit, right? And getting experience is something that there really aren't products for. We always wondered, why isn't there an apprenticeship product? Why are there no products for people other than $250K in debt, which is a disaster for most people? And we see that in the debt bubble. And when we saw Paragon One, we know they've been in the space trying to figure it out. It's a hard space. Education, construction, always hard. But we thought this team's going to figure it out. And if they do, it's a huge prize. So we're really excited about this team as well. And that really is for us, a lot of you have read my book, maybe, Angel, and it really is about the people. The biggest mistakes I ever made were when I tried to figure out the idea or figure out the market and didn't just bet on the people. And so we really got a good sense from Matt and his team that they would figure this out, and they care deeply, and they're grinding it, and they are making progress. So very excited. These are all young companies. I just want to say this as well. The opportunity to invest in these companies at this stage is that they haven't figured everything out yet. That's why we get valuations in the $4 to $10 million range here, not in the 40 to 100 million or 400 to 4 billion. the opportunity in the early stage is that you get to be involved with the founders when they're figuring things out. And to us, that's the most fun. So sorry to ramble, Matt, but I am super excited about what you're doing. So 3, 2, go.
All right, I'm Matt, co-founder of Paragon One, and we're helping students launch stellar careers through real remote work experiences. So our platform automates remote externships, which are like internships, but more accessible, flexible, and with structured training. Meet Purity and her friends. They want to get a job in finance. A lot of barriers for them to get internships. Meet Arjun. He's an investor in Boston. Needs analyst work. Doesn't have time to train students. Maybe he can only take one. We facilitate a remote externship, so large numbers of students can do this work. We built software that turns entry-level work into templated projects, which helps us to scale. So we're automating what Purity wants in a real work experience when Arjun is too busy. For instance, structured training, where she learns about the VC industry, how to be an analyst, kind of like an online course. Also, we facilitate online guidance between the company and the students, as well as coaches and student peers. And the best part is she can earn credentials, either course credit for her resume, a LinkedIn badge, even letters of recommendation. Now, the company can log into their dashboard. Here, Arjun is seeing the best work crowdsourced and curated from students based on different indicators we have under the hood. The students and schools are delighted with the access that they get. And we've saved Arjun time in assessing, training, and managing student talent. So he's delighted because it's a very efficient process. We have many other companies coming on board with the same perspective. So what's the catch? Well, we're focused on in-demand projects that can be turned into reusable templates in areas like content creation, research, and data analysis. We're standardizing the training workflow and output here. Now, our business model has schools paying an average of $200 per student to access externship seats, training, and mentorship. Companies have a freemium model where they can come on board for free initially, but they can upgrade for $1,000 per month for fully managed support and recruiting, and they can upgrade from there for more support. Students can basically pass an assessment to get scholarships. One project is LTV profitable in 2 months. And we've seen revenue grow 10x since December. We're now at about 600,000 in annualized revenue. And we expect to get to about $1 million in annualized revenue later this summer. Our active student growth, weekly active student growth has been 10% weekly of students actually doing work on the platform. And these are some of our school clients that we've recently launched and will launch. And we also have companies like Facebook who are using us as a recruiting platform. When we get to 4,000 active company projects in 2025, we'll be at 100 million in annualized revenue. My co-founder and I have known each other for 17 years. We studied engineering at MIT, and we've started, run, and exited 3 e-commerce companies before this. I'm Matt, co-founder of Paragon One. We're helping students around the world launch stellar careers. Thank you.
Okay, great job, Matt. Investors, Diana from Figure 8, do you have any questions for Matt?
Hi, Matt. Can you speak to how you will scale the recruiting side of your business?
Great. Ethan from Venrock, questions for Matt?
Yeah, this is great. Could you help us understand both the customer profile and the type of roles that are best suited for the type of platform?
Thank you. Kristen from Threshold, question for Matt?
Yeah, have you been working with universities at all to try and get student credit for some of these, or is it purely just through the students themselves?
Okay. Miranda Firebrand, question for Matt.
Yeah, what does the program setup look like on the company side of the house, and what is the how customizable is the platform?
Thank you. Stan from Farsight, question for Matt.
Yeah, this is a network effect firm, so you have to get a scale on one of the 2 sides before they scaled up. How are you doing on that front, and how do you plan to get a lot of population onto the platform?
Did you get that, Matt? And we have a question from the live stream. Will it be possible to offer this to people that are unemployed or want a change of career and need experience? All right, let's tackle those.
Great.
2 minutes, 3 to go.
Yeah, so on the recruiting side, that's honestly a new area. Facebook and Zillow are the first ones looking at us from that perspective. We already have a network of 100,000 students in the US alone that we can source. But I think the key there is to test how these companies want to work with us as a recruiting platform. So more to come there, but I can talk offline. The customer profile here is essentially, from the student standpoint, it's someone that doesn't have a lot of experience yet, so maybe a freshman or a sophomore, but we're seeing high school through graduate students do these roles. It's best suited, the type of projects are best suited where there's data or content or research involved. We don't actually do a lot of highly technical work because it's a bigger overhead and labor cost to manage. And in terms of actual customers, meaning the schools, the best profile there is a school that's trying to do more experiential learning, that's trying to bring the marketplace and the professional world into the school. And so, yes, we are working with universities. Case Western is kind of adding in some kind of elective credit. Swarthmore isn't giving credit, but the schools are basically paying to cover a cohort of students, maybe 50 or 100 or 200 students at a time that go through these experiences. The onboarding for companies, very simple. It's basically paint by numbers kind of a situation where we have 7 different predefined templates. They onboard in about an hour, and we get what we need to start creating the training. The overall scaling here, it is a chicken egg problem, right? So we have to make the companies happy by getting good students in, and then we can take those companies who are on the platform and we can go wide to a larger network of students and schools. So I think I'm up on time now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Matt. And that was our 7 founders. Now here comes the hard part, investors. We're going to ask you to give us your number 3, your number 2, and your number 1. And when we go around, we'll ask you could just tell us your number 3 and the number 2 and just the name, but then your number 1 and why. You can talk about why you think they're awesome. And this is through the lens of investment. We'll also run a poll, right, for the syndicate members so they can vote as well.
And we can't do polls on YouTube, but I would like to invite the YouTube audience, which peaked at like 650. So I think we hit like 850 people across this, our first effort, which is super exciting. The way you can help as a person who's in there in the chat room on YouTube is try the products, follow the Twitter handles, download the apps, and give feedback to the founders, right? And maybe blow them up on Twitter or your social media, give them feedback on their products. Maybe you can give them a helping hand. And then eventually, down the road, we think that equity crowdfunding and the accreditation rules will change. The SEC is committed to that. And when they do, we really would love to offer anybody, even civilians, non-accredited investors, to join the syndicate.com. We can't accept you right now, but eventually, you might be able to put $50 or $100 or $250 into these companies the same way a VC might put in $1 million or $250K. So go ahead and tell us your number 1, 2, and 3 in the YouTube chat room as well. 1, 2, and 3. Give us your top 3 companies. I'm curious. Okay. So we're going to go around the horn now. For number 3, you just tell us the name. For number 2, you just tell us the name. Do not say anything about why you picked them. But for number 1, yes, be effusive, be detailed. Tell us what you loved about the founder and the company. We do this because we like to create a little healthy competition. We like to let people know where they're at in relation to other startups, because not everything in life is zero sum, but investing certainly is. If you get a check from one VC, that means that's check that another person's not going to get. There is a finite amount of that. So which company is your number 1 choice? A poll just went out for folks who are in the Zoom, and I see people already. You can make a poll on YouTube. Okay, somebody make a poll. I'm going to leave up this video, maybe even my AV rant on the YouTube stream, or maybe we'll edit it down and clean it up. Okay, go ahead, Jackie, you take over.
All right, let's go backwards. Vidika, let's start with you. So give us your number 3 and your number 2, just the name, and then your number 1 and why, please.
Gotcha. So number 3, Techmate. Number 2, Punt Club. And number 1, solo trucking. So I love businesses that give workers more freedom and control over their work lives. And it seems as if solo trucking is doing that for an industry where truck drivers actually have had historically some, one of like the least control and freedom over their work lives. Like they're gone for weeks on end, from what I understand. So yeah, I'd love to see solo trucking exist as an option for truck drivers.
Great, thank you. Robert from Maven, your 3, 2, and then 1, please.
Sure. So my 3 is Nude Barre, 2 EyeRate, 1 Honeyfi, and 1 is Honeyfi because I thought Sam articulated what the pain point is and the value prop really well, and we at Maven believe in investing in businesses that are addressing some of the demographic shifts that Sam spoke about, such as the increasing age of marriages and some of the financial pressures that those create. So I thought Honeyfi was a well-articulated solution to those.
Great, thank you, Robert. And our Presh on our team is keeping score. Stan from Farsight, can I get your 3, 2, and your number 1, please?
Yeah, my 3 is solo trucking. Number 2 is Nude Barre, and number 1 is Punt Club. And I picked that is because I think the whole industry, we started investing in the gaming space 20 years ago. It was way too early. I think the whole inflection point of gaming and gambling online is just going to ramp up very quickly. And especially among friends in the social environment, it's going to explode. And so, I mean, I think the team is very ambitious. I think they'll make it happen very quickly.
Right, terrific. Thanks, Dan. All right, Miranda from Firebrand, your 3, 2, and your number 1, please.
Yeah, so 3 is solo trucking, 2 is Nude Barre, and number 1 is Techmate. I think we're seeing a lot of people we're seeing a lot more remote work. I don't think that we'll stay fully remote forever, but I do think there will be a need for on-demand, on-premise IT help and work in that regards.
Thanks, Miranda. Kristen, your 3, 2, and 1, please.
Yeah, so my 3 is solo trucking, 2 is Nude Barre, and 1 is Techmate. Techmate, I think there were, there's companies like Electric that are trying to do kind of virtual IT solutions, but as you mentioned, there's some where there really needs to be an in-person person there to solve it. And so I think there's, given the shifting way of work right now, I think there's a need for a marketplace like that for people to solve these problems in person. So kind of have the macro shifts and then kind of the marketplace model, which I think makes sense, and then selling to businesses, which I like. So.
All right, thanks. So if I'm not mistaken, we just had 5 with 4 different number 1 choices. So I suspect it's kind of a wide open race. Presh, what are our tally so far?
Okay, so in first place, we've got Solo with 5.5 points. Second place, Techmate with 4.4. And third place, Nude Barre with 3.5.
All right. Next up, Ethan from Venrock. Can you 3, 2, and 1, please?
Yeah. Number 3, Nude Barre. Number 2, solo trucking. And my number 1 was Paragon One. And the main driver of why I picked it as number 1 is the internship market is just fundamentally broken. It's borderline indentured servitude, and we need to rethink how we can create richer experiences for people early in their career, but also provide more structured paths to roles and inverse the recruiting relationship. So I think it's really exciting about it.
All right, great. And so folks know our scoring is third place gets half a point, second place gets 1 point, and first place gets 2 points. That's how we do that. Diana from Figure 8, what's your 3, 2, 1, please?
Yes, number 3 is Nude Barre. Number 2 is Techmate. And number 1 is Paragon One. And the reason for that is that academic content in universities is often still too just disjointed from real world experience. And I like how Paragon One is creating a scalable way for students to get real world experience.
All right, great. And Charles from Extol, your 3, 2, 1, please.
Sure. My number 3 is Techmate. My number 2 is Punt Club, and my number 1 is Solo Trucking. I know the trucking industry fairly well. I helped raise money for a company in China called Truck Alliance. They're now valued at $9 billion, and they'll probably go IPO this year. Similar business model. Again, the whole trucking industry is broken, allows these independent drivers to monetize and build their own business. So I think it's a brilliant idea.
All right. And before we take Ben from NEA's vote, Presh, what's our tally now?
All right. First place, we've got Solo with 8.5. Second place, Techmate with 6. And third place, Nude Barre with 4.5.
Okay, Ben, what's your 3, 2, and number 1, please?
All right. I might be the swing vote. 3 is Punt Club. 2 is Paragon One. And number 1 is Techmate. And the reason for that partially is because they're obviously experiencing a meaningful COVID bump. Having said that, it's more likely that's going to stick than in a lot of instances. You'll probably see a pretty big digital dividend to the companies that are using them, and so I think they'll retain it. It's a bit early for me, but I had previously invested in a company called Eden, which does this sort of remote workplace management, sort of on-premise. So I like this idea of doing it remotely. I think that can create a lot of value all around.
Ooh, okay, Presh, final tally.
All right. So including the syndicate, we've got...
Well, just the investors first.
Okay, so without syndicate, we've got Techmate in first place with 8 points, Solo in second with 6.5, and Nude Barre in third with 4.5.
Great. And syndicate?
With syndicate, we've got Techmate we've got Solo in first place with 8.5, Techmate in second place with 8 points, and then Nude Barre in third place with 4.5. And then I can do the overall for the whole 12 or the whole cohort as well, the top 3.
Ooh, go for it.
So the first place overall for the cohort is Solo, together with 159.5 points. Second place is Techmate with 128.5 points. And third place is Nude Barre with 94.5 points.
All right. Congratulations, founders. Yay.
Sorry. Closing comments. The world's crazy right now. I know that. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us here. And I just really appreciate y'all taking the time out of your day and just giving a little bit of attention to these startups. We thought about postponing this and canceling it due to everything that's going on. And it was definitely a discussion we had. And I thought, gosh, these founders have worked so hard and they really are the future. And I didn't want to have them miss this opportunity. And, these startups tend to have 6 months of runway, 18 months of runway in the best case. And we really can't pause and let these businesses shut down because of coronavirus or the injustice in the world. I think we have to work on these issues in parallel. And I'm just so proud of the effort they put in. This cohort specifically started in person and then had to go to virtual. And they went from an easy funding environment to the most challenged one since 2008. But I am absolutely in awe of them and their efforts. And I know they're going to have a great result. We are going to send an email to you all about which ones you might want to invest in if we were to syndicate them. So everybody understands what we do as a company. We have free content like my podcast and book and the events we do like Founder University. Then we have people come to the Accelerator, the best of those companies we meet who are ready. And then I'd say 2 out of 3 times, if they go through the Accelerator, we wind up syndicating them. But we don't want to be their sole source of funding. We want them to go out and find a lead or to do a party round and get half the round closed, and then we syndicate the other half if the terms are reasonable. And so we make that decision after they come back to us with a term sheet and some traction. But it's a really great indicator. If you all put in if 20 people want to put in 10K and we're already at 200K and they're burning 25K a month and they can find 200K in other investors, that's a pretty good indicator. So it's not a guarantee we'll syndicate them, but we generally do. And if you're not a member of the syndicate, you can sign up at thesyndicate.com. And we're going to be doing this again for LA 18, correct, Jackie? What's the date for that demo day?
July 23rd. Different
July
time.
23rd.
Different time. We'll do that 10 a.m.
Right. And when this all ends, the pandemic, we're going to be buying everybody ramen and doing some dim sum in New York. But for now, we're going to be 100% virtual, and we'll be 50-50 after that. People always ask us, how do we pick the companies, and how do we so consistently have such high quality companies? That is a great question. And I think we just have an extraordinary team: Presh, Jackie, Ashley, Heidi, Laura, Nick, Charles, Maureen, Matt, just so many great people. I hope I didn't miss anybody there. Ashley, of course. Sorting through these companies, we get a deluge, 500 to 1,000 every time we have one of these Accelerator classes. And I think our real secret is that we look at what the founder has built, right? And there's a big debate of, how do you pick companies and who's a great picker? And people always say like, oh, Jason, you're one of the best pickers ever. I got lucky a bunch of times. That's always helpful. But really the secret to picking great companies to invest in, I think, is to look at the product that's already been built, to look at what the founder has already accomplished, and then take what they've already accomplished and try to extrapolate from there. And if you look at all these products, you can just see the potential there already. And great products are not made by accident. There's no way for you to just come out and make a great hamburger or a great pizza or a great steak. You have to have some level of technique. You have to have some level of craftsmanship, and you have to be good at your craft. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Could be awkward. Could be things missing. But when you look at all these products, you just see that they're so well constructed. And then you talk to the customers, and the customers won't shut up about the products and the outcomes they're getting with the products. Those two things cannot be faked. You can't fake a great product, and you can't fake delighted customers. And people like to overcomplicate investing. It really is that simple. Look at the product. Is this a high quality product? Talk to the customers. Do they love the product? If you do just those two things, I think you eliminate half the bad investments you're going to make. And then you'll just trend towards great ones. And I love to just share what we've learned in our techniques. And please, if you find a great company, send them to us. Founder.university for people who haven't launched their products or just getting their products to market. We had 260 people at Founder University last week, which 300. Is 4 times. What was that?
300.
300. Sorry, I didn't mean to shortchange you, Jackie, which is 5 times what we get in person. So that's incredible. For our 14th class is the same size as the previous 5. So that's for people who are just getting started and maybe have like a mock-up demo. They've incorporated, but maybe they don't have a lot of customers. Accelerator, $5,000 to $100,000 a month in revenue. Syndicate, $100,000 in revenue and up. We will always share revenue. We always share some of our upside with you. I'm available at all times on Twitter, for better or worse, at Jason, Instagram at Jason, Jackie's Jackie at launch.co. And we really appreciate you coming out. I'd like to everybody to turn on their microphones right now. Laura, I didn't thank Laura. Thank you for everything you do, and Heidi, the support team here, operations. Let's just turn off everybody's microphones and give a big round of applause to these founders who are working so hard. And of course, Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie. Let's give it up. I want to hear that clapping. Come on now. Woo-hoo. I would say give them a standing ovation, but I know some of you are not wearing pants because it's virtual. But just congratulations to everybody. And this is the starting line for these companies. This really is the starting line. Do not look at this as the end. It's the starting line. We'll be in Slack with you every day, working with you. When we invest in a company, it's not just for the life of your company, it's for the rest of your lives. We stick with you. Next company after that. Our great successes in life have been when we invested in founders multiple times. We know you're all going to make it work with this company, but we just want to make sure we get a slice of your next one if you choose to do a next one after these ones go public. Great job, everybody. I think we'll end there. Jackie, anything else they need to know?
Yep. If you know any great companies in this zone, products and market, customers, traction,
any zone,
for Series A. Yeah, that's true. Send us founders. Send us companies.
We like them all. We're here to help. We're here to help. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thanks to my friends who showed up for me in the investment community. It means a lot. And if I can repay you in any way, if you have a founder who's struggling and they need some mentorship, I'm here. If you need me on your podcast or to speak to your companies, I'm here. If you need me to put some money into your companies you're raising around, I'm here to review those decks as quick as I can. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Stay
everyone.
safe.
Take care.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Jackie, and everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks everyone.
You guys,
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Great
you.
and Cats, you've done a
Thank
great
you,
job.
Launch.
Thank you.
Thank you.